Hello, welcome to the stream. We are live as usual. Look, I'm really sorry that I'm really sorry that my thing is I've I've kind of like been very busy with everything and all. But but I am kind of back. I plan on doing the streams as many as possible as soon as possible. We're just gonna do a few sound checks and then yeah, we're gonna do a few sound checks and then we can start the stream. So blah 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 blah. Plan on doing. Yeah, the sound seems good. I think. I hope. Please. So what has been up? So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everybody's having a good time. Me, I'm outside. I'm actually not at home right now. I actually took a week off from the army because, sometimes you gotta have a few days off. But that is not important right now. What's important is that I'm finally back onto streaming after almost a month of not doing another one of these episodes. But we today, as I wouldn't say as always, but like we have a special guest. He's actually one of the friends that I met in my first convention that I've actually attended, and I'm really excited to have him on. He's a really cool dude. He has a lot of connections. He's a good writer. I'll let him introduce himself later. In other news, there's been a lot going on in and out. I'll get the chance to talk about it next time because this time we're just gonna focus on these few topics that I've whipped up with the guests. So let's just join in. Hello. Hello.
Hi, what's up?
Hey, can you introduce yourself?
Hi. I'm Deco. Twister Snakes, depending on how you know me from. Um, right now, in real life, I'm a programmer, but I guess within the furry community, you guys would probably know me as a writer. What's up?
So the interesting thing is actually he was cause if you guys didn't know, last week was LAFC, which was called Little Island FurCon. It was the first Singapore Singapore Furry Convention, to be held in Singapore, and it was honestly I wouldn't say a big scale event, but around 150 people attended, so it's definitely more than just a community. And I was really glad that I could meet a lot of friends, especially Decro, because Decro was like the first guy to talk to me when I was there. Reason how I found out about this convention was because of my friend Aisha. She was attending the con as the dealer, and so I wanted to like join her. And since it's a furry convention, I've never been to one, and I was really excited to join, and I hopped onto the opportunity. Uh, do you have anything else to say for you, Decro? If not, we're just gonna start with our first topic.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so first thing, obviously, we're gonna talk about the LAFC, how it went down. From how should I say this? Because obviously, this is my first time attending a convention. Wait, is this your first time? Hello.
Sorry, I didn't catch the question. Is this my
Wait,
first?
is this your first like furry convention?
Oh no, I've only been to Forum before this, so technically this will be my second.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
you've been to the one last year or what?
That's just for yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't
So,
say I'm super experienced with conventions either.
okay, because you've been to firm before, then can you like compare the two events? Like, which do you think is like, which do you think
Wow.
has? Okay, I'm not like, okay, don't think of it that way, but like I'm just curious, like, how did you enjoy Ferrum and how did you enjoy LFC? Because obviously the different conventions, the atmosphere is gonna be different. So I want to know, like,
Mhm.
what do you think about the two conventions?
I think for one, my experiences will be definitely different because as for him, I was just like attending, but whereas for RFC, I'm more of a organizer. So I was running around doing more stuff than I would have been if it were just free and easy doing firm. But I think something that's kind of cool is that I think based on the convention stuff, it kind of adds like a subtle flavor to the conventions. Like for one, I didn't see like board games weren't really a thing in Forum. Like I don't think conventions typically do like set up a board games station. That's I'm not sure. But because we have Junias on the team and he's one of the
Board game fanatic.
yeah, and he's on the staff, and I think it's cool that he was alright with like hosting that kind of thing. Because like kudos to him, was there for like the entirety of like almost the entire event. Yeah, so I think it's cool.
Would you? Okay, I want to know, like, because as an organizer, like, was it like very hard work getting like everything set up? Because I know it's not just one person's work, right? Like, you guys obviously share, like, have a organizer group kind of thing, like, and you guys set up all of this.
Hmm.
I was wondering, how long did it take? Like, how, like, a
Uh,
few months? Like, maybe you guys had already started playing last year or what?
I think it's at least a year where the team was started like way before actually. I joined the team only within the last I don't know half year or slightly more than that. So I'm kind of new to the team so to say. Um, yeah. So, but I guess a lot of things that go into planning a convention are like really subtle things that you don't really think about. Like oh, okay, lanyard. Someone had to look up orders and see which one if we get bulk discounts, which is the cheapest. Location you need to talk to the hotel in liaise with them, say, okay, I need chairs here at this time, I need them cleared away for the concert at another time. Um, yeah, then all these helpers, like someone has to do the AV, someone has to do security, and then you need manpower for that. I think all these things are like things that as attendees we can take for granted. But I guess like now I'm like, oh no, now I actually have to think about that. Yeah, that's why I'm quite thankful that like the rest of the team, splits the work and everyone gets stuff done.
Or because it obviously it's very it. Wait, was that all like your work, or like did other people help you on it? Because from what you've described, right, that sounds like a handful, more than a handful actually, of the things that you needed to do.
Yeah, no, okay, so it definitely like the team's work, like there's like it's like an art team, there's a logistics, programming, all like it's a really big team I guess. I think that our a lot of people volunteered, which is super good. We got yeah, so we had a lot of people to fill in these roles.
Because what was like your expected number of attendees? Because if I'm not wrong, at the end of the concert, right, during the closing ceremony, I heard the chairman mention that the attendees expected expectations. No, wait. Uh, Exceeded your expectations. Sorry. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what was like the original intended participating number that you guys have planned for?
This one is like kind of ballpark, like guessy. Based on what I figured, I think we're aiming for 80 to 120 ish. Yeah, but like 150, bam! I was like, oh my goodness, that's crazy.
As because from my perspective, I kind of knew that. Okay, is it is it is it to say like I'm not actually surprised that so many people will enter like attend the convention, but I do feel like there is like we definitely exceeded the amount of people that were gonna attend, because like especially like in Asia there's so many of these conventions. Like Furdu was just last like the previous week, and then Infernity is coming soon in September if I'm not wrong, and then in
Hmm.
December you have Furum, and all these convention in Asia. uh were you guys like slightly concerned that like not as many people would attend the convention, especially because like I didn't know about this convention until my artist friend like linked it to me. Otherwise I actually did you, yeah, because from my perspective you guys didn't really um advertise this as much, because all my, or maybe I'm just not in the community. As
Yeah, possibly.
like do you guys what sort of PR do you guys do for like the convention?
We had Twitter. We largely in Telegram groups also. Mostly within the Singapore communities, and then those people who knew, like friends overseas, would share that as well. Then a lot of us are retweeting, so we're hoping that got out. Not sure. I don't think we did much publicity beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah,
To answer your previous question, right? You said something about concern that we'll be competing with the like
and other
for attendees.
conventions in Asia, yeah.
I guess one question to ask would then be, why are you hosting a convention for? Are you hosting it to win in terms of like attendees? Because typically not every convention makes money, but they still put in money like to do it anyway. And because at its heart, it's about bringing the community together. And like our nearest convention would be Faram, Malaysia, and even then, we don't get a lot. Like not all our locals, especially the younger ones, can go. So like to a certain extent, part of why we want to have our own local con is to be able to reach out to like the younger first in the community. uh, Another reason is to have Singaporeans have something to be proud of. Like, we have our own local con, and I think to see a lot of like Singaporeans come after the convention and say, "Oh, actually, I would like to help out for next year." And it's not just like, "Oh, yay, we got more manpower." It's really like, hey, people not just enjoyed the convention, but this is something they feel proud of and something they want to be a part of. And I think, that kind of thing kind of makes it worth it.
Those were like almost the exact words that I said to you when I was after the closing ceremony. No, honestly,
Oops.
yeah, honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed the convention, even though on the first day I had the graduation ceremony for my recruits back in army. I still came around 5 p.m. on the first day, and I had to leave for like for another meetup. So the first day was kind of like for me, but then the second day was really eventful, and I attended your panel. It's pretty good. The way like honestly, all the panels were pretty informative. I like the panels, and I especially like the concert where Fox and Peppers were performing. And I like the fact that there's just like the community in Singapore is just so close knit, and it makes me like happy that I actually enjoyed this convention, and it makes me want to like actually volunteer for next year. Like I want to help this this project get big. That's like that's one of the things I want to see.
That's good. Yeah. I think it's cool. Okay, so for this at least, we wanted to push for as many people who wanted to do panels to have a chance to do the panels. Then yeah, so I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Like the events that we lined up. Foxes and Peppers definitely a huge plus because that I think that was part of the attraction of why people wanted to come to. It was
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
Honestly, okay, I'll be honest. I've never heard of them before. I looked up like before I decided that I wanted to buy the tickets for the convention. I never knew who they were. I saw them on the on the website, the convention website, and I looked them up because they were like guests of honor. So I was like, who are these people? And then I looked it up, and they were actually pretty. Like they had good music and like good camaraderie as like a duo in music. And I'm really glad that I attended the concert, because part of like at first, right, part of me was like, oh, I don't feel like attending the concert because I'm scared like it might be really bad. But it turned out like really good, and my expectations were uh, like they were just shattered because it was just so good.
Yeah, they do it professionally. Like they do like tours and everything. So it's I think it's they definitely have the experience to perform. And I think even though there were like you know hitches like oops accidentally kicked wire, like they're all pretty chill. They roll with it. They got showmanship.
So like as in because obviously in this convention you weren't as uh part like you weren't as participating as like let's say forum where you were like you were an attendee. So like I want to know like what do you look for like in conventions, like like specifically what are the reasons that make you want to go to like a specific convention?
Honestly, okay, I'm definitely gonna speak for myself only because different people go for different things. But for me, I really just go for the friends who are there because if I'm going to a convention and I have no clue who anyone there is, I would probably not want to go. Yeah, I
Honestly,
think
uh,
having friends. Sorry.
no, you can go on. Sorry.
Yeah, like for instance, I went to Forum last year. I do like a huge part of the fun was like traveling out with friends, rooming with friends, hanging out with friends, breakfast with friends. Everything is just friends. Yeah.
That honestly, that was like the reason that was one of the reasons I actually attended this convention as well. But the thing is, uh, me and Aisha, I mean, she has to she was busy with her like commissions and panels, in the dealers den and stuff. So I had spent like quite an amount of time just like chilling, like taking pictures, and I actually, it was only until after the closing ceremony where I actually went out and uh, just I actively went to people, like went up to people and be like, hey, we should be friends, all this stuff. And honestly it was quite scary because I didn't know like if they were gonna like me or not, because the way I see it, right, because for I've been observing for like the this on the second day I've been observing, because like there are groups of people that are just together, and then there's me just here like sitting here alone, and I'm just like it at first it was intimidating, but now that I gotten into the community, I feel pretty like glad that I started to take the first step, because if I didn't, I'd probably still be like in the dark about all of this like uh, stuff that has been going on. So yeah, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good experience.
Yeah, I
The
think one thing. Sorry.
the convention was definitely worth it. Like I would, and that's why I wanted to like help out for the next year, so that I can help people like me last week. Like by introducing them to the fandom, to the community, and like letting them know like, oh, we are ever accepting as people, kind of stuff.
Hmm. I think it's kind of like it's similar in school where you sometimes it's just very simple to ask, like, say, a classmate like stuff, even though you've never talked to them before. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you're in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
class, you ask them, no one's gonna stare at you weirdly. Why are you talking to me? If you try that on the streets, people's first response is like, sorry, not interested. Why are you trying to sell me? And I think that kind of like that level of openness and friendliness applies here as well. Like the fact that you are here, you are sharing in the same very interest, and you are at this convention. It's kind of like it already builds that community there where people are open to, yeah, just talk to me, it's fine.
So that wraps up of the convention topic. The next topic that I want to actually talk about is like about just writing, because I started in the furry community as a writer, because I was how I became a furry was, it was very interesting, because was if I'm not wrong, when I was like 13 or 14, I was playing on my NDS,
Mm-hmm.
and then because I've been a fan of Pokemon ever since before I knew what the fuck was a furry, and so I like I have like consoles where like Game Boy and like PS PSP, and like the old school consoles, and then I would always play Pokemon on them, because
Hmm.
like Pokemon and music are like two of my biggest hobbies pretty like when I was young. So and then when I saw that like, oh, there's this game called Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, where you like literally like where you become a
Uh,
Pokemon, and then you live your life through the eyes of a Pokemon. So
yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
okay, detracting from your original question, yes, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was amazing. Oh my
yes,
goodness.
hell
Like,
yeah.
it's amazing how they can use, like, a bunch of pixelated sprites to just make you. What's this feeling? Where are the ninja on this
Honestly,
cartoon?
I like it was the first game that I completed from like start to end, because I have a short attention span, and usually like if I play games I don't usually like that have a story mode. I usually don't like finish them. That was until like Pokemon Emerald and like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon came up. Then I was like, I really like the game. Then I just so like if I'm not wrong, Mystery Dungeon was like the first game that I ever completed, and then Emerald was like the second one. So
Ah,
these two games like hold a special place in my heart, and as well as like they're a huge part of the reason why I became a furry, because after I completed these two games, I wanted to like know more. Like I wanted to know if there's like more games like these. So I Google searched like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and then I was going through like Pokemon the wiki. So like, oh, what do I have to do to like get this Pokemon like in the game? You know what I mean? Like you trying to like it's like trying to 100% a game.
hmm.
And so I just started doing like more research, and then one day I came across like this website called fanfiction.net.
Ah,
And I started to read in on like some of the fan fictions that they have on fan- uh, on the website. So the first one I actually read, and I'm still following to this day, is if have you heard of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon: The Silver Resistance?
no, afraid not.
Oh, you should. Okay, it's a good read. It has like, if I'm not wrong, it has like almost 90 chapters already. It's an ongoing project that's been going on for like at least 6 years, and the author is currently writing the new season. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely
okay.
check it out. Now I think now it's a good time to catch up because they're in the process of writing a new season.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's PMD SR Silver Resistance. So that was
Yeah.
like the first that was like the first fan fiction that actually got me hooked onto writing because I read the chapters and I was like, wow, I didn't know you can use like these kind of words to like describe this thing, this scene, and then like the scenery, all those stuff, like the action, and it got me really intrigued. So I started reading more on fanfiction.net. So like other good reads I've had was like this fanfiction called I Am Lucario, and then all those stuff.
Mm.
Uh, and then I found this website called DeviantArt, and then cause at first when I found it, I was like, whoa, I think this is a site to like just post your art, just not just like writing, not just like art, but like photography as well. At the time, I was also
Mm.
like pretty big into photography. I got myself a DSLR, and then yeah.
I see. Yeah. Um. So for me, how I started, for in general, I guess it's like one of the first few things I was interested in was like railroad transformations. So transformations or TF for short ended up becoming a huge interest for me early on. That's so my first few writings was in like how long ago? It was about 18 ish in 2013, and I was just writing pretty. Wait, am I getting the dates right? Ah, it's fine. I was writing pretty crappy transformation stuff. Oh my goodness, I mean it's you know like when you read someone's story and you're just like, all right, you this is just literally wish fulfillment. There is no plot. There is no nothing. Yeah, so that was me last time, and I mean people are still interested, but I'm guessing it's not at a quality that I'm proud of now. Over the years, I just wrote on and off, and for like 5 years, I only completed like 12 or 13 short stories, and they're like 500-ish words each. So they're not. I wouldn't say they were pretty impressive. So sometime last year, I decided that hey, I'm gonna try and take this writing thing more seriously. Because at the end of the day, I am interested in writing. I decided that I'll start like focusing more on plot, character development, making a story immersive rather than just entertaining for me and me only.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
I think that's how I started as well. Cause like on DeviantArt I joined like a PMDU like I joined a PMD group where they had like different missions. Some like they would post things like it's basically like a writing prompt group, but except like you do role plays and also like your own character sheets and stuff. It's kind of like a mix between D&D, role play, and prompt writing, and that was pretty fun for a while until it like shut down, and then onwards I had to like branch out to like other stories, not just like in PMD.
yeah, I mean, funny you brought that up because sometimes people role play and then they ask me like, how do I get into writing? I just tell them like, if you role play with yourself, you get the logs and then you just say, okay, it's now a story, and then tada, you are a writer.
That's a pretty easy way to get started. Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
that because I mean writing is just essentially role playing with yourself.
yeah. Or more like the other way around. I mean, role play is just writing just that.
You with another guy or like another.
Yeah. think it's pretty much it. I mean, end of the day, in general, if you're writing fiction, it's about, you know, imagining a different world, escaping into it, and bringing another person along with you, which is the reader. Yeah. And I think that's a pretty cool thing.
What like advice would you give for like novice writers, or like people that just want to start out but don't know what to write yet?
Hmm. Okay, if you are starting out and you are looking for stuff to write about, uh, I mean, in g- for general public, they can there's the writing prompts Reddit where people just keep posting writing prompts and people join in. They write pretty short stuff like few hundred words. We're not talking about thousands of words. Just pretty short. In people usually do that, and it's a good way to get feedback as well. And it's a good way to get ideas, especially if you don't have any. So you just choose a prompt that catches your attention and go with it. If you're furry, you have the added advantage of having a persona. You can start to think like, oh, I want to give him a backstory. That alone can sometimes be motivation to write something. Yeah. And sometimes like part of it is like you want to see your character come alive. People do it through commissioning art or drawing out of their character. Writing is just another way to express that.
Yeah, I agree. For me, what I would say is like I would the because for a lot of the people, because last time I was also like that. I didn't know what the fuck I should write. I didn't know what kind of things I should create, and show it to my friends. So what I did was I kind of took uh, everyday things, like things that I do every day, like for example like your daily routine, and then I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like use it as a prompt and like think of how my characters, or like this specific archetype would would carry out the actions, and I try to plan my I try to like create a scene, or like create a situation where I would have to do this and do that. That's kind of how I started. And that I mean, if you're a novice writer, or if you're a new like a writer that's just starting out and you have no idea what to write, this is a very good starting point. Take your own experiences and then lay them out on the table, and then you try to like refine it through words, and then try to polish up like the little details that happen. And yeah, that's kind of how I would do it if I were to like give advice on what to write.
Hmm. I think another one that some people bring up also is that you should read. Like reading is a huge part of writing as well. You get new like it's not just for new writers but also for like experienced ones, because when you read someone else's writing, it can be pretty refreshing. The ideas, the techniques can come, and it can be inspiring, teach you something new.
So that was pretty good. What else can I ask about writing? Oh yeah,
Hmm.
we can. Oh, what if I'm? Because I didn't attend like the full panel that you had in LFC. I came in like I think maybe like a third of the way through. When I came in, like you were already like asking the audience to like write a prompt already. So I didn't catch quite the first part, but in the second and the third part, it was actually pretty interesting, especially at the end where you showed a quote, and then you showed like the other part of the quote. What was it again? The
Yeah. Basically, learn the rules so you can learn the rules like a pro and break them like an artist. Something like
Oh
along
yeah,
those
yeah,
lines.
yeah. That was it. That was it. So because that that quote actually like resonated with me a lot, because what I like to do when I write, right, is like I like to break conventions. I like to break the usual stuff that you would see in a normal, like an average person's writing. Like for example, I was like reading my friend's writing, and I thought like maybe this is not my style. Maybe I would like to spice it up a little bit by adding my own twist to it, like because I have this bad habit of like separating everything with like paragraphs. So if it's if it's like, let's say a 500 or like a 1,000 word short story, it have like fucking 50 paragraphs, because just because sometimes I like to separate like paragraphs into, like, separate every paragraph when another person is like starting an action kind of thing, and that kind of became like my style for like a while.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool because, like, end of the day, if like, if you might break conventions, but if the reader gets a better experience out of that, then I would say, go for it. Yeah, and I guess that's what I like about writing as well. I usually, like, I don't really, I don't know, like, sometimes, like, oh, don't use fragmented sentences. I'm too bad. It's already in, and people enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, speaking about fragmented. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. Oh shit, I knocked over my friend's figurine.
Oops.
Anyway, so where was I again? Oh yeah, fragmented sentences. Fuck, I use that too, like a lot, way too much. Cause like I don't know, it's like even that sort of, cause like what I like to think about fragmented sentences is actually like it gives the readers a little bit of uh, like depth when when the character is speaking. Like you get to pause a little bit, like let the words sink in, and then like you continue. Like yeah, that's how I would like interpret fragmented sentences, and I would, in my opinion, I personally like to let the readers read in between the lines as they go, and like have this like huge revelation on like, whoa, actually he's been saying this the whole time, like we just didn't know it because he was like being subtle about it. And I like, the biggest satisfaction of my writing is basically that, like my
Mm.
readers, my sometimes my characters would have like witty dialogue, but then like the readers wouldn't know it's witty until like the revelation that has happened. Then
Yeah.
the writers would be like, oh wow, that's actually pretty impressive. And that's what I strive to do with like my writing.
I think writing is surprisingly artistic. Like, there's a lot of I mean, if you really drill into it, there's so many subtleties that you can focus on. So especially, I think if you are a new writer, you'll start to taste it as you write along. I mean, one example I usually use when I explain the subtleties would be, say, active versus passive. So, like, let's say I say, John hit Bob with the stick. So to some people, yeah, this is a regular sentence, and in fact, by English convention, you should, talk in passive, talk in active rather than passive, which is that sentence. But sometimes, let's say I want to focus on Bob being hit by the stick instead. So I was like, Bob was hit by the stick. Then, in some sense, I take the attention away from John. Really. And sometimes, like, that's what you need in the scene. And if the main character, I want to focus on the main character rather than side character, that could be what I'll do. It's just that, like, sometimes people don't think about these. And yeah, I mean, writing is kind of like artistic in that sense. You can slowly get a feel, and you slowly start to write differently.
Yeah. Another problem. I'm not sure if it's a problem, but like I I use passive sentences way too much. Like, cause like I'm right. In what I think, right, is like I'm writing this thing. I'm recording down what has already happened. So in my logic, I should I always use like passive sentences when I'm describing like anything that is there. So like even if it's the present day, I would still use like passive style of writing. I don't know if that's like a common thing. Yeah.
I think
So
it's fine. Like you just fill in the format that you want to write it in. So I mean, there's this, the World War Z. The book was actually the format for the books were there's two books actually. The first one was the Zombie Survival Guide, and instead of writing it as a fiction world kind of thing, it just says like it treats zombies as a fact. It's a real thing. This is how you got to survive. This is how you choose weapons. This is how you choose a base. This is how you get food. These are all the things to consider. Like the terrain and climate and how it affects zombies. You talk about like the disease, the virus, as if and with scientific names and everything. And that's the format of the first book. The second book was in the format of interviews, where it followed like basically it's a reporter writing about like, okay, I'm interviewing this helicopter pilot who was part of who experienced firsthand the attack. Or yeah, and it's cool because these interviews come together and you start to paint a picture. Okay, this is patient zero. This was how it spread. Uh, these were what countries did to retaliate against zombies. These were the sacrifices they had to make because some countries ended up like killing innocent people along with the zombies, and then how it eventually got resolved towards the end. And I think the author definitely chose a different format to write it in, and it became a very factual thing. And but wow, I mean, it worked really well.
yeah, that is very definitely a very subversive type of writing and also very interesting. So because the biggest challenge of breaking conventions is that the you might what you write might not it might look interesting in your eyes, but in the audience, like sometimes you don't describe enough to make the audience have a full picture. Like you give them fragments of what is happening. uh, you give them fragments of what is happening and you don't give the full picture, and then you leave a lot of the things up to the sometimes you leave a lot of things up to the audience's interpretation, and sometimes if they cannot actually visualize what is going to happen or what is happening at the moment, sometimes it's better to just like give them like just lay everything out. Otherwise, your audience might feel very uh, your audience might feel very confused in terms of like what you are trying to like convey in this like specific paragraph or like this specific piece of art, like of
Hmm.
writing. that
Yeah, agree.
that's like definitely the most challenging part of art. Is to break conventions and at the same time keep uh keep what is the audience like view, like to level with the audience basically.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's definitely a common thread in not just like writing, but art in general. So I think it's something that artists slowly figure out. Trying to balance between appealing to the audience and perhaps their own taste.
Honestly, I felt really um sometimes when I write I would feel very immersed, but at the same time I don't want to feel too immersed where I cannot uh, accurately describe what is going on? Do you have this problem? Because like what? Okay,
Mm,
let me describe the problem. Like I think of a scenario. I have this wonderful idea, or like let's say, oh my god, this is like the a very good idea. Like for example, okay, let's just take this as example. I have this. I recently watched, like I was browsing on YouTube, checking on my recommended list, and I found this video called the entire timeline, the full timeline of the Minecraft 2B2T server. That was like, and then I watched this. I watched the video and I watched like what was happening throughout the video, and I thought like, wow, this is actually really really like interesting, and especially like it just gave me this idea that I want to write a piece like this where like where like imagine a world with like not no rules, no like boundaries and all those stuff, and like what would the world be like. And that was like my writing idea. So like I shared it to you like a few days ago, and you were still like, oh, that was interesting. So I started writing. I started like creating a character, like started creating a character. I started creating a world and then like a scenario. I started writing like a draft for it, and then I realized there's so much that I want to write, and there is so much that I can already visualize, but I'm having trouble finding the correct balance between like um, between describing the situation and actually letting action happen. Because uh, I've read stories before where like the first few chapters were so boring because they were just like they were basically describing the world. They were doing world building stuff, and then there's like no action going on in between like the actual characters, because like the characters are being like passive in terms of the story, and the main thing that was happening was just like world building, like things happen, or and then like like a lot of explanation, kind of thing, and that was boring. So I wanted to like write. I wanted to balance these two things, and I was finding trouble like balancing like these two things. Like yeah, it's a really complex thing. So and I quickly realized that maybe like this idea that I have, maybe it's a good idea, but like I don't have the necessary uh, I don't have the necessary skills to successfully uh, convey it to the audience, because the audience obviously don't see what I see, and obviously the objective of me being a writer is to tell the audience what I see, and like make them to like and then make them enjoy what I have concocted as a story. And yeah, this is like my biggest hump that I have to overcome right now as a writer. So like I was asking like, maybe do you have like uh, do you experience the same thing, or do you like uh, yeah, I want to know your opinion about it.
there are ways I get around with it. I wouldn't tell you how I do it because I kind of don't wanna. It's not that it's secrets I wanna spill, but it's kind of I don't wanna so-called poison or influence your writing style. I think if you figure out your writing style and how you want to get around this problem, that would be the most natural for you. So I'll leave you to do that, but I'll kind of guide you to how it's been done, and maybe you can get a feel. So I'll do. You notice during my panel, I also said if you are unsure, just go see how movies do it, how movies story tell, and you'll get a great idea of how can do it in writing. So same thing. Let's say here's a bad example. So now there's like a complex time travel mechanic, and you're trying to introduce it to the reader. You introduce this scientist, the main character is Blur, he'll just say, oh, so how does it work? And then the scientist will regurgitate whatever's going on. Okay, that's not how you do it. Another one you shouldn't be doing is, oh, they'll read a book and it'll totally explain what's going on. That's another way you shouldn't be doing it. But typically it's boring, it's overdone, it's mundane, and yeah. What are good examples? Would perhaps be, say, Inception, where Cop tries to introduce Ariane to the entire world. Do you watch Inception?
Sadly no, but I know about like
Okay.
I know like the general plot of it. Yeah.
Alright, so in one of the early scenes, I'm not spoiling too much, he actually introduces the idea to her because she has never done like world building in dreams before, and so he brings her into the world, and then he says you can influence it, and immediately one of the first few things she does is to lift up the ground and like bend it over the existing ground like a pancake, uh, and then she starts to go all over the place, and then when people start staring at her, then she asks why, and then it's like, oh, the more you influence the world, the more my subconscious will close in on you because it senses you as a foreign object. So you realize that what they're actually doing is world building. They're teaching you how the system is working, but rather than regurgitating it to you in an info or law dump, they do it through you know actions. And yeah, Lord of the Rings does similar from what I heard. Whenever you enter a scene, a new world, because the world building is really heavy, what they do is they focus on the scenes through the eyes of the most foreign character who will not understand it. And so when things are explained, then you as the reader understand it the way the foreign character understands it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I guess it kind of does. I just need to find like the correct way because I need to like I need to like get more feedback because I realize like right now I'm lacking feedback like in terms of like how I should improve, like what's the thing that I suck at the most, like what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, all those stuff. That's why that's why I was pretty like pleasantly surprised that I was added into the SG writing group. So yeah,
I mean,
that was something I was I'm looking forward to for your review.
stress, the pressure is on.
Yeah, man. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of like writing? Like, if not, we're gonna like go to the next topic.
Yeah, we can move on.
Give me a moment. I'm gonna like look for the things. All right, I got a few topics here. So, uh, first thing first, are you guys? Are you aware of like the law that is going to be passed soon in Hong Kong?
Uh, I've been hearing a lot about the Hong Kong stuff, but I haven't actually read up on it.
It's like the extradition law thing.
Ah, yes, that one. Oh man, going political.
Yeah. So because apparent this is a very huge change in terms of like Hong Kong and stuff because this is by passing this law, Hong Kong is basically relinquishing their a huge part of their freedom uh, as like a country, because see the countries like Hong Kong and Taiwan like are like in this gray area where some people recognize them as a country and some people don't, and very that's what's very interesting and also troubling about it. Oh, we're diving into current affairs here, by the
Yeah.
way, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I can tell.
So about this, right? Because by law and like technically, Hong Kong and Taiwan are part of China. But the thing is, both of these countries, they want to have independence. They want to become their own uh, country, and but then China has been like refusing. China was like, no, we aren't, like, we don't want to. You belong to us. All those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has been really hectic for the past few days, especially like protesters, riots, crowds gathering in like Hong Kong. Um, there's like marches, everything, and uh, I'm glad. In a way, I'm kind of happy to see like so many people like actually like much against like the against what the law is, because if, as I said just now, like if Hong Kong actually passes this extradition law, they're basically relinquishing their a lot of their freedom and a lot of their independence to China, and that means that China can actually take full control over the country, and that is why a lot of people are like very upset and very like active in terms of trying to like getting this law reversed. I can't. In my opinion, I hope they succeed. I hope like Hong Kong can still be the same, because as some of you guys know, like my boyfriend he lives in Hong Kong, and he actually told me that today he went out to march with the other people, and yeah, it was I was kind of worried because I was scared that like riots and like stuff would happen, so I was kind of praying. But luckily, he reached home safe just I think an hour ago. Uh, so yeah,
That's good. Yeah.
so I kind of want to know like what's your opinion about this?
Mm, I guess like for me, it's like I'm a bit fearful of commenting because I'm not fully in the situation. I mean, yes, you might know about it through news and stuff, but I'm not a direct stakeholder, and it's very easy for us to say, oh, it should be done a certain way, what should or should not be done. And I don't feel qualified to say anything about. It's kind of like I don't expect foreigners to tell us how to run our country, or I don't expect people to vote on our behalf. You know what I mean? Like if we have democratic votes, we just let the Singaporeans vote, but we don't have, say, people from US saying, "Oh yeah, I think like X Y Z should be done." So I mean, in the same way, I don't feel in a position to say like you guys should run it this way. You guys must run it this way. But at the same time, I guess what I can convey is my highly subjective and opinionated stance on things. Um, I guess, and I guess the stance is like, uh, I see it's kind of like a balance, so to say, because on one hand, like the concern for this law comes from a very real problem of like you know, people like criminals running across the border and then saying, oh, you can't catch me now. But at the same time, it's subject to abuse where, if China's not happy with like any of Hong Kong citizens or like certain people basically who move to Hong Kong for safety, and they can just do like, there's some make up some charges and like send him over. and will abuse. So it's kind of like it's kind of like it's on both sides. I guess I'm leaning towards the like ideally this law doesn't get passed because it sounds like very highly abusable.
Yeah, that was what I was
But
thinking as well.
yeah, but like I said, I mean, I am not in a position to demand anything. I can only give my stance, and that's it.
Okay, so I want to say like thank you for joining me on this podcast, even though it's like a short one, it's like just 1 hour long, but I feel like we've covered some very interesting topics as well as giving out a lot of tips on what is actually uh, what do you want to do for like writing and like conventions and stuff. So all in all, it was very good talking to you. I hope we can like talk more in the future. Maybe like I'll invite you to another episode. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
All
Uh,
right, let's see.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for joining me again.
All
You
right.
wanna like plug anything? Like,
Nah, I'm good.
all
You
right.
guys can go look me up if anything. I write. That's it. Wink.
All right. Cause like, uh, I would suggest like get yourself ready before going into any of his pages because some of them might not be safe for work.
I have warning tags. Don't worry. It's in the
Yeah.
thumbnails.
Yep, yep, yep. So he's like twisted snakes on everything, if I'm not wrong,
Oh,
right? Yeah. So anything you want to say before I end the stream?
that's it. Thanks for having me over. Have a great night.
Yep. Have a great night for those who are living in Asia, and good morning, good afternoon to those that are living in the US. Uh, I'll be seeing you guys next week, same time. Oh, well, not same time, but like, cause today's a bit late. So, usually the time that I do these streams are Saturday night, 8 p.m. GST plus 8. Uh, yeah. I'll see you guys next week. Maybe next week we'll get another guest. Who knows? Nobody knows. Uh, I'll see you guys. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.